with there is a disaster. I mean, France should only have the great fortune of Serbia. You know, there are 65 million people. There's 65 million people in France, about 7.5 million in Serbia. And so, and yet the movement in Serbia is not big. I mean, it's just it's choice. Now, Prabhupada, there's a quote from Prabhupada in the database, where the devotee in 1975 said, "Why do we have to dress in Indian clothes?" And Prabhupada said, "I never said you had to do this. You wanted to do it." See, that quote, you don't hear. Prabhupada said that to me personally. We were in Honolulu, and one of my godbrothers, H.D.Goswami, left. Prabhupada was, very sorry he left. He said, "Why did he go?" And someone said, "Well, he didn't like certain things, didn't want to wear these Indian clothes." Prabhupada said, "I never said you have to do that. You don't have to do that." So, Prabhupada says, for example, dress is a dead thing. We don't care about dress. It's a dead thing. We care about consciousness. Prabhupada accepted the devotees want to dress a certain way because they wanted to dress a certain way. And if you look at Bhaktisiddhanta, he's wearing Western clothes. He may have had a devotee, but he's wearing a Western coat, and his disciples are wearing Western clothes, even leather shoes. Bhaktisiddhanta said his disciples could eat meat if they had to save the West. They can eat meat, but they can't wear a suit. So, Rupa Goswami, in the 6th chapter of Bhakti Rasamrita, gives a list of fundamental principles of Bhakti Yoga. And then Prabhupada says other things are just details that can be changed. Now, I never found clothes in the list. If someone says that clothes are a basic, part of Bhakti Yoga, then why isn't it in the list? Why didn't any acharya ever put it in the list? In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur say the opposite. They say the worst kind of Vaishnava, the worst kind, is one that thinks I'm a devotee because I dress a certain way. So that doesn't mean there's cultural anarchy. You can't go into a temple in a male bikini or something. Well, I know you've never done that. So it's not cultural anarchy because there is a standard. Krishna gave us a cultural standard. It's called the mode of goodness. The mode of goodness. Now, if you say that Vaishnava dress is, a dhoti and sari, which has no historical basis, no Shastra basis, it's basically just on imagination. In India, if a woman wears a sari, it doesn't mean she's a Vaishnavi. If a man wears a dhoti, it never meant he's a Vaishnava. The idea that a dhoti and sari or Vaishnava dress is something that's not invented. So, if you look at the real facts, here's another point I wanted to make. When Prabhupada was here, it was working. Because Prabhupada never actually saw the Western world under normal conditions. Any historian will tell you that between 1966 and 1976, which is the time that Prabhupada was here, that those 10 years were an extraordinary, anomalous, completely different period in history. You could say that Krishna created this opportunity for Prabhupada. If Prabhupada would have come in 1956, it probably, like something about the ocean voyage made him a pure devotee. And yet that same pure devotee couldn't accomplish anything in India. He went to Jhansi. Actually, before Jhansi, as a householder, his dream was to make a lot of money and finance his guru's mission. It didn't work. He went to Jhansi. It didn't work. He gave out his back to God and sheet in Delhi. It didn't work. I mean, some people were interested. But it didn't work in terms of his vision of what his guru wanted. He then went to Vrindavan and did the Bhagavatam. And he gave the Bhagavatam out to leading people in India. That didn't work. So he realized Krishna wants, I have to go to the West. So when you have this combination of purity and the right strategy, that's when it works. So this idea that purity is enough, that's not what Prabhupada did. In fact, there's a very famous story that Giriraj Swami told me. He told me many times. That just before Prabhupada left this world, Giriraj Swami was in Vrindavan, and in the middle of the night, Prabhupada called him. So he ran to Prabhupada's room, and he sat there in this dark room just with a candle. And then finally Prabhupada called him. Prabhupada's body was so weak he had to whisper into Giriraj's ear. And Giriraj was wondering, why did Prabhupada call me like this? What's so important? And he whispered into Giriraj's ear, when I leave this world, will my movement go on? Giriraj, as he explained to me many times, gave the standard answer. Yes, Prabhupada, if we chant Hare Krishna and follow the rules. Prabhupada indicated no. There must be intelligence. There must be intelligence and organization. Don't kill the messenger. So, actually in ISKCON there's a type of bhakti mimamsa. Karma mimamsa means that if you just perform the rituals, you'll go to Swarga, you'll get the results automatically. And so bhakti mimamsa, you think it's automatic. If we follow the principles and chant our rounds, ISKCON will take over the world. No. Prabhupada said you actually need intelligence. So Prabhupada came at an anomalous time. When Prabhupada came to this world, Indian gurus were the biggest fashion. The Beatles went to Rishikesh. Jimi Hendrix, who I saw actually in San Francisco. My brother took me to before he became so popular. Never mind. So, Jimmy, now you like me. So, Jimi Hendrix put that Vishnu picture on his album. I mean, to have an Indian guru was the biggest fashion. There was some little, anyway, this Guru Maharaj, he filled up this football stadium. There were so many big gurus. Before 1966, it wasn't the case. And after that, around 76, it just ended. It was a unique, completely anomalous, unnatural, you almost say, period in history for 10 years that Krishna created for Prabhupada. That history didn't exist before, and it doesn't exist now. So, look, they have a saying in Brazil. No mexe com time que está ganhando. Anyone understand Portuguese? Oh. It just sounds funny. Anyway, what that means is, in Portuguese, that if your team is winning, don't mess with it. If you're the coach of a team, and your team is winning, just stay out of the way, they're winning. And so what Prabhupada saw was that we were winning. The movement was growing like crazy. Everywhere he went, there were hundreds of new devotees. So he said, all right, do you think, I mean, Prabhupada, there is not a single time in Prabhupada's life when he tried something and it didn't work and he kept doing the same thing. There's not one example in Prabhupada's life that he did that. Jhansi, Delhi, Vrindavan, Butler, Pennsylvania. If you read the Lilamrita, when Prabhupada went to Butler, Pennsylvania, he didn't say, okay, I'm in Butler now, but I'm going to New York. No, he thought, okay, let's start the Hare Krishna movement. And with all due respect to Butler, Pennsylvania, I even have a disciple from Butler, Pennsylvania. Prabhupada realized after a while, the revolution's not going to start in Butler, Pennsylvania. So he went to New York. He started working with Dr. Mishra. And he thought, okay, that's the way I'll do it. But then he saw it's not working. So you see, Prabhupada at every point in his life, if this doesn't work, he tries that. If that doesn't work, he tries this. There's nothing in Prabhupada's life, like a Hare Krishna movement, that tries for 10, 20, 30 years and it doesn't work and keeps doing exactly the same thing. That's Prabhupada? That's not Prabhupada. So, what is intelligence? For example, does anyone in ISKCON ever ask the question that how does a small religious movement become a world religion? What does history teach us? What does Shastra teach us? What do the Acharyas teach us? No one even asks the question. If you don't ask the right question, you'll never get the right answer. So I have pages and pages of Prabhupada quotes authorizing what I'm doing. And we all have a history. The Western Hare Krishna movement is declining for almost half a century. It's like when we wake up. I mean, some people already have it. I mean, some people already awake. So, and the time has come where to save Prabhupada's Western mission. Krishna West, by the way, yay! Krishna West is it's an ISKCON project. The GBC approved it. I mean, people still keep saying, well, ISKCON and Krishna West. The temples are not ISKCON. The temples are part of ISKCON. They think they're ISKCON, some of them, but they're not ISKCON. They're part of ISKCON. This meeting right now is as much ISKCON as any big temple with 1,000 deities in it. In fact, there's a quote from Prabhupada. This is Prabhupada, not me. We said Pujari, 5th class. Prabhupada said that the neophytes stay in the temples and ring the bell. When Prabhupada made me, I'm not attacking deity worship. I love the deities, we all love the deities. But to think that because puja is going on in some building, therefore that's more ISKCON than another place, is nonsense. In fact, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Shreyan Dravya Jnana Jagya Parantapa. Better than devotional service or offering of dravya, which means paraphernalia. It means a ghee lamp, it means incense, water, and so on. I mean, we do that. Krishna doesn't say don't do it. But he says there's something better. There's something more important. And what is that? It's giving people knowledge. When I became GBC, Prabhupada ordered me a few days later, do not get involved in building temples and puja. That's what Prabhupada told me. He said, for more advanced devotees, there's knowledge. So if we are meeting like this, and in Prabhupada's service we are exchanging knowledge, this is the highest ISKCON. This is not a second-class ISKCON. This is not only ISKCON if some temple authorizes it. In fact, so we need to get things straight. You know, we all love the deities, we all recognize the temples as Prabhupada's temples. However, to think that the temples are ISKCON and that no one can do anything unless the temple authorizes you is absurd. Obviously, those of us who are not in temples have a responsibility to cooperate. We don't want to disturb temples. We don't want to steal devotees. In other words, we're good citizens. We follow the rules. However, I mean, when I took sannyas in 1972. And I traveled all around America preaching. Universities and temples on the weekend. Prabhupada never asked me to work under some manager. Prabhupada never said that I had to be connected with some temple. He liked my program so much, he used to talk about it around the world. He would say, yeah, it was a very nice program. He was talking about my program. I cooperated, I didn't bother other people, but if people think that I'm bothered just because you want to be an adult and you want to do your own program, if that bothers someone, That's nonsense. If someone can show that you're doing a program and you're actually interfering with someone else's devotional service, that you're taking away their devotees, that you're disturbing, you're actually causing trouble for their service, then that's a valid point. You shouldn't do that. But if someone thinks the very fact that you go out to preach, the very fact that you are bringing your own people to ISKCON, that bothers me, that is simply nonsense. It is a principle of free societies, constitutional societies, that you have to show evidence that someone is causing significant harm to someone else. You can't just say, I just don't like what you're doing, therefore you're bothering me, therefore you can't do it. Prabhupada did not want that kind of totalitarian nonsense. Again, objective harm, actually causing an objective disturbance to someone else's service, that is a valid complaint. Not that I wouldn't do it that way, therefore no one in this country can do it that way. And I like these Prabhupada quotes, and you can't follow those Prabhupada quotes, even though it's the same Prabhupada. So, anyway, what's your name? Oh. So we all have to work together to help ISKCON to become a constitutional, brahminical society that he wanted it to be. So as far as the clothes thing, yeah, this is not 1966 or 1976. I mean, back then in America, and I'm sure in many countries, if you were freaky, that was really positive. Oh my God, they're freaky, yes, come on. You know, that was a big plus. You're freaky. You're weird, you're strange. Strange was crazy. I mean, to be weird, to be... That was great. So by being different and strange, we were actually fitting in with the youth culture. The adults all hated us, but we were fitting in with the youth culture. Who do we fit in with now? Who do we fit in with now? There was a time we fit in with, like, you know, millions, in America, tens of millions of college students, intelligent young people. Who do we fit in with now? Yes, I'm sorry, you finally got a chance.
Yes, now my question makes sense. Because you said something that I can now draw my question to again. You said first in your lecture that we have to become mature and independent and more intelligent
and cooperative.
Okay, yes, and but isn't it that for the flourishment of some spiritual movement, there needs to be also a senior, like a devotee or a GBC, who is situated in that? I once heard my Guru Maharaj said that certain places flourished because there were some senior Vaishnavas who were like present most of the time in those places, like Hungary or Belgium or certain places. And also now you mentioned France, that it declined, and you mentioned cultural differences, but isn't it because Bhagavan left that after that point they declined also spiritually?
Okay, very good question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. That was really good. You brought up an important point. Oh, Tamal Krishna. Yeah, he was great. And by the way, very much ahead of his time also. Okay, this is a very good point, and gives me up. It's okay, Hungary, which is about a population of 10 million. You know, Prabhupada sent me to a country with 200 million people. Brazil, Latin America, 100 more. Now, I was a strong leader, not only in Brazil but other places. And the nature of Latin America, in many, almost most places, is that you kind of take strong leadership. In my experience. However, kind of strong leadership?
Какъв як
In other words, I don't want to criticize other countries or say things, I won't do that.
други землі.
However, there's a dark side also. We can talk about countries where things are going very well, and there's a dark side of damage and ruined lives because people didn't fit into a totalitarian model. So, I mean, I don't want to go into details. I'm not going to mention any names or specific countries. I'm only saying that I have personal information that there is a dark side of damage. Now, I'll tell you what I did in Brazil. I mean, we opened up a lot, most of Latin America, but then I focused on Brazil. Very large country. First of all, I saw that my first duty was to help other people to grow and become leaders. Not under me, autonomous. We didn't have we also didn't, call women, anyway, I won't go to that. There's some things I know and they bother me about the way some people have been treated. But when I went to Latin America, Prabhupada sent me there. I was a GBC for all of Latin America. When I left, there were about 5 GBCs. Why? Because it grew so much. We were the Sankirtan champions of the world. We were book distribution. We made more devotees than anywhere else. We opened one of the major gurukulas in the world in terms of child abuse. Had the best record of any large gurukul in the world. And I did that without managing. In other words, I didn't think that I had. What I did was I encouraged everyone to go out and be independent and to be autonomous. I mean, of course, I'd go there and I had to oversee it, make sure they're on track. But it wasn't, we didn't have a central administration for the country. It's not like everyone had to get my permission to breathe or to do anything. Or I told, women do, everyone, give permission for people to have babies. Or call people prostitutes, call women prostitutes because, because they show their teeth in a temple room. And there's a dark side. I'm not going to mention any country, any leader, but I'm just saying that there's a way to be strong. There's a way to be strong that strengthens other people, and not just people that blindly obey me, not just people that just do whatever I say. You can actually give people strength and freedom.
Maybe I mentioned, I used the wrong word. Not strong, but dedicated. Maybe dedicated.
Yeah. Okay. Because okay. But I think you've actually uncovered. Hare Krishna. I think you've actually uncovered an important point, though. There are different ways to be strong and dedicated. We also see leaders that have stayed in a certain country and, other things like that. But so I think I agree with you in general that if a strong person, devotee, stays in a place, it is possible to develop things. I mean, it's obviously true, but it's also dangerous. Why? Because a strong leader staying there can keep other people down. I'm not saying it has to be that way. I'm not saying that no one should stay there. But I'm saying that when a strong leader stays in a place, that leader has to be very careful to give freedom to other people. And not to create a culture where if anyone disagrees with that leader, they're ostracized, they're humiliated, they're driven out. I've seen that. There's a certain kind of psychology that Prabhupada didn't want, where there's one strong leader and everyone follows that leader, and if anyone disagrees with that leader, they're in big trouble. They're humiliated, they're driven away.
I have experienced that in Germany previously, so I know what you're speaking.
Du bist Deutsche?
Nein, aber ich spreche Deutsch.
Respekt. So what I'm saying is, you're right, that the strong leader stays in a place that you can really develop things. However, that strength must be transferred to other people, and they must be encouraged and given the freedom to develop things in their own way. And so that ultimately, because I always thought that my ultimate success in my zone, or here or there, was to empower other people, knowing that they may have their own way of doing things. We didn't, I mean, obviously you have to follow principles, you have to follow Prabhupada and so on, but we didn't have a specific way to do everything. People had the freedom to be real leaders. And so if it's strong, because otherwise, as we've seen in New Vrindavan, for example, you could have a very strong leader, a dictator. The problem with dictatorships is that when the dictator is gone, you get chaos. And so there's a way to be a strong leader where basically when you lead there's chaos. And there's a way to be a strong leader where when you lead there's a free, open, enlightened, Brahminical society. For example, when I leave here, I'm going, believe it or not, to another place. And because there are sincere people who want to hear from me, and I'm not interfering with any other programs there, and yet there are some leaders who want to stop me from going there. Some people want to stop me from coming here. Because that's their concept of strong leadership. Their concept of strong leadership is dictatorship. And I should say, you know, we tell the public, when the deprogrammers attack us, there's no mind control in this. And yet, when I present another side of Prabhupada and give massive evidence that it's Prabhupada, some people want to prevent devotees from hearing me speak. In other words, you're an adult. You can listen to me, you can listen to anyone else you like. You decide what you think is best for you. But there are definitely leaders in this movement, and you have a right to know this. I'm not going to mention their names. I'm not encouraging you to just, leave this con or hate these people, but there are definitely leaders in this con today who want to stop me from talking to you. I don't believe I said anything that doesn't come from Prabhupada, but they like to do things a different way, and they don't want you to know that there are options. They don't want you to have the freedom to choose whether you like what I say or you may like something else. They don't want you to have the freedom to be an adult and choose which Prabhupada instructions are more comfortable for you and will work best in your preaching. They think that strong leadership means dictatorship. And that goes directly against what Prabhupada does. So again, I'm all in favor of strong leadership if it's aimed at empowering people and giving them freedom, rather than strong leadership which simply keeps people in a state of tyranny. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, about this...
Oh, I'm sorry, because this lady is... Sorry, she's been trying for some time.
It's interesting, you're provoking my mind in such a powerful way that as you're reading my mind, basically everything what you're saying, so it's actually very interesting. You touched me in so many ways to really provoke me in a way, so my creative mind would react to actually raise these questions. You said that we are trouble, humanity is a trouble. You also say how West actually needs to be saved. And yet, I see that while East, let's say India, is copying some of the American ways, America is trying to find a way how to get its own freedom. And you see rising of all kinds of movements in that country. Yet, we are realizing we're really not free. And the question really is to us who are really like into so-called spiritual movement, going back to hippie time, 60s, when, everybody was happy. Today, it's completely different time, different energy, because technology has risen to such an outstanding level, not to free us, but more to control us, how I see it. But we can use it in a way so we can actually not look up at the leader. We are the leaders. And I think the message today, at today's time, 2017 to wake up to that spirit. And no matter where you are, whether you are in India, China, or United States, or France, we see there's interesting things going on. People are waking up. But yet, I think people who are more spiritually conscious need to see themselves as they are the leaders. They have something to say, because time is up. We really need to rise up about spiritual freedom, because we are not free, we're really slaves. Really ask yourself, every day, what you do. You repeat same thing every day. You go to job, you earn the money, you're a slave. You're more than slave. You're not really free. So we need to ask ourselves, are we really free? This is what I'm really thinking about it, our freedom. And that's what I think as humanity is really facing, issue with the freedom. And if we don't really, enough of us ask ourselves this question, we will fall in the trap of dictators, that we will have no freedom.
True. There's a thank you. There's a problem. You don't have any fathers on there, do you?
Yeah.
First canto?
First one, it's the small tree.
I don't care what it is. That's fine. I want to read you something from Prabhupada about freedom. Whew. Well, thank you all for being patient and. Oh yeah, when I'm done. Thank you. Let's see. Oh my God, this is small print. Okay. She was not kidding. The context is when Narada Muni came to enlighten Vyasdev. And then at the end, Narada leaves. What is this? Did it even separate the chapters?
It's written on the top of the page, the chapter.
Okay. Yeah, I think I found what I wanted. Okay, I got it. This is toward the end of chapter 6 of the first canto. Chapter 6, the first canto. And H.D. Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasdev, Narada Muni took leave of him and vibrating on his veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will. And it's free will that Prabhupada is going to really focus on. So Prabhupada writes, every living being is anxious for full freedom, because that is his transcendental nature. It's our spiritual nature to be free. And this freedom is obtained only through the transcendental service of the Lord. Illusioned by external energy, everyone thinks they are free. This is what you were saying. But actually, we are bound up by the laws of nature. I want to get to the point. So the transcendental system of devotional service is also free. Without freedom, there is no execution of devotional service. Without freedom, there is no execution of devotional service. The freedom, and then Prabhupada says, the freedom surrendered to the Lord does not mean that the devotee becomes dependent in every respect. In other words, even Krishna, when you say to Krishna, I surrender, Krishna is going to say to you, thanks a lot, I appreciate it, but I want you to also
želim da
be a free, mature person
budeš
in my
također
service.
slobodna, zrela osoba u mojoj službi.
So, the freedom surrendered to the Lord does not mean to become dependent in all respects.
Gotovo ne znači biti zavisan u svim pogledima.
To surrender unto the Lord through his transparent medium of the spiritual master is to attain complete freedom of life. So, I want to stress something. Just like I was talking about, there's hierarchy and equality. And so if you consider who we are, in ultimate, we are both individual and we're social. In other words, each one of us is an individual, and yet without society we wouldn't be able to speak or understand, we couldn't do anything. And so we have a social life and social responsibilities, and we have our individual life. We have our private life and we have our public life. And so our individual freedom is balanced by our public and social responsibilities. For example, in Belgrade, Belgrade, if everyone was just free, it would become barbarism. People killing, raping, well, I'm free, I can kill you. And so obviously, there's a balance between individual freedom and social responsibility. And the same holds true in ISKCON. We value and we use our freedom, and yet we are also socially responsible. So I use my freedom in a way that doesn't harm other servants of the Lord, or doesn't disturb their service. And so in that sense, we want to restore the balance. So that's what I wanted to say. So I'm a member of ISKCON because I know enough about history to know that without Prabhupada's mission, you can't really change the world. It's not the way the world works. And I'm using my freedom to speak to you, and yet I'm socially responsible. I'm following the rules of ISKCON. I am respecting people who disagree with me. I'm not mentioning their names. I'm not insulting them personally. I'm simply trying to lay out reasonable principles which should govern ISKCON. So anything else? Feel free at any time to bring me very large donations. You don't have to raise your hand. Yes.
Hoću prvo da se zahvalim Maharađu što je došao.
Yeah.
Thank you
for coming. Very much.
Hey, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ja ne poznajem dugo lekcije Maharađe. Zapravo sam ga upoznala preko interneta. Kada je moj guru Maharađ napravio jedan stream sa njim H.D.Goswami Maharađ.
There was a stream with H.D.Goswami Maharađ.
Oh, yes.
To je moment kada sam upoznala i tog trenutka sam poželjela Maharađa ovde.
In that moment she desired that you could somehow come to Serbia.
Sada želim da ga zamolim da nastavi da nam dolazi.
Now she would like to ask you to continue coming.
Veoma nam je potreban.
That we need your association.
Priča o stvarima koje su za nas, a verujem i za celu planetu, veoma važne.
She thinks you're speaking things that are very valuable for us and for the planet as well.
Mi ovde pravimo puno individualnih i malih grupnih pitanja upravo na temu.
Questions exactly on those topics.
Tako da, stvarno pre svega želim da se duboko zahvalim.
So Babola, she'd like to thank you.
Veoma sam inspirisana.
She's very inspired.
I eto, želim bi da nastavim, ako budem mogla doći ću i sutra da ga slušam.
She will come tomorrow.
A već večeras imam službu da prenesem što je Maharađ priča.
And since tonight she will start doing her series of transmitting what she heard.
Nadam se da mi daje svoje blagoslov i da neću nešto pogrešiti.
She hopes to say what he said without too much.
I eto, nastavit ću ako mogu i koliko mogu, pošto je moj engleski dosta loš, u govoru, a bolje u slušanju, da ga slušam na internetu kako god
She'll
može.
try to continue listening, although a little bit English is tricky after.
I htjela bi da ga zamolim da mi kaže da li je hrabar i da li se to dešava da i na internetu govori tako intimno ili to možemo samo dobiti ovako.
The question is whether you also speak intimately like this online, whether she can find classes like this or it's just in person.
In English.
Yes, I can listen. I can.
She could listen in English.
Ne mogu da govorim, ali slušam.
Yeah, we do have programs all the time. Thank you. Yes.
Maharaj being honest with us in a very pleasing manner. Just like to ask one question. Initiated by Jaitis, the and a lot of good women have taken the initiation in this one from Hridayananda. I met people who left broken hearted, maybe went out missions, and were very broken hearted. What message would you have for those people who left the ISKCON family and feel still broken hearted and hurt?
Yeah, I know. I had to deal with a lot of it. I mean, I had to go to many places in the world because some guru. I would urge those devotees to keep the following in mind. Oh, to think about this, the following. Think
Ohrabrio ih da misle o sledeće.
If you follow a true principle,
Ako slediš istinu princip,
even if
čak i ako
the person that you follow
osoba koju
doesn't really embody that principle,
ne može do kraja da to je princip,
then Krishna still reciprocates.
onda Krishna svejedno i dalje ima s tobom
In other words, when you were serving Jaitirtha,
dok si slušao Jaitirthu,
you were doing that sincerely.
ti si to činila iskreno.
You were actually doing that in obedience to Krishna.
To si radilo ponizno pred Krishna.
And so the fact that you were sincerely following this guru
Činjenica si
and someone else was sincerely following that
neko je
guru,
iskreno učio
your guru fell down
tvoj
and
učitelj je
that
pao,
guru didn't fall
ovaj drugi
down.
nije pao.
That's not your fault.
Kako to veze nije
You were just as sincere
ti samo iskreno.
as a disciple that followed another guru.
Isto kao i učenik koji služi.
You please Krishna just as much.
I jednako toliko
And therefore,
zadovoljilo Krishna.
if one sincerely tries to do the right thing,
Stoga ako neko iskreno pokuša da radi pravo stvar,
there's no loss to you.
nema za tebe da biti.
I mean, as far as being broken-hearted, that may be true in the sense that you gave your heart to someone
Da
that
si dao
didn't
srce nekome
do the right thing.
uradi pravu stvar.
Apart from that, in terms of your relationship with Krishna,
U smislu tvojeg odnosa s Krishnom,
you didn't lose anything.
nisi izgubila ništa.
And therefore, we have to remember what we're really doing. We're really trying to ultimately please Krishna. And you please Krishna as much as anyone else.
A ti si ga zadovoljio isto kao što je rekao.
So therefore those devotees, I mean, people have different psychologies.
Ljudi imaju različite psihologije.
It's just like in marriage. People respond differently when they find out their partner has cheated on them.
Da saznaju da neki partner prevari.
Some people forgive, some people
Neki
don't.
ljudi opraštaju, neki ne.
I'm not judging or saying, what's right and
Ja
what's
ne
wrong.
sudim, ne govorim šta je
I'm just saying that people are different.
A samo kažem, ljudi su različiti.
So when a guru falls down, because I have to deal with it so many times, there's the predictable
Postoje jedni predvidljivi
reactions. There's certain types of reactions. Some people
reakcije.
just go on with their service.
Neki ljudi
I'm
su
really here for
posle
Krishna, and
službom ovde se
it's like
Krishna.
if your horse gets shot, you jump on another horse. So, and some people become discouraged, and some people stay with the fallen guru. It's just because we're dealing with human psychology. And so you just get you always get these different types of reactions. Just because that's what, it's like human statistics. So I think the wisest thing you do is to remember that because that person had difficulty, that doesn't change anything between you and Krishna. In fact, in the real world, if someone's father goes to jail or something, then the rest of the family tries to help that person. I mean, the fact that you had a guru that fell down means that Krishna gives you more attention. Krishna gives you more mercy, not less. You just keep focused on why you're really here.
What you would say to men followers, houses that
That's what I would tell them.
That's what you would tell them.
That Krishna, I mean, the fact that a human being who was not yet spiritually advanced took the position of guru and had difficulty, that doesn't change the fact that I'm a soul, that Krishna is God, that Prabhupada is his pure devotee, and that we need to serve Prabhupada. None of that changes. I mean, I think some people, again, people have different emotional natures. Hare Krishna. Actually, it's one thing. You know why people say help when someone sneezes?
Yeah, like a help.
You know why people say that?
Because you're closest to death.
Yeah, actually, yes. I learned that in a Superman comic. Because one time Superman had to go save somebody, but he was Clark Kent, so he made someone sneeze. When you sneeze, your eyes close, so he ran and said, anyway, I learned that as a child from Superman. But anyway, so the point here is that we should be careful not to exploit that fact. I mean, the fact that someone had difficulty, I may see as an opportunity to go out and enjoy the world and then think I'm not responsible. So we can use it as an excuse, essentially. But if you really want to serve Krishna, the fact that this person has difficulty, you have to move on. So, what time is it?
It's 9:30.
Oh, it's 9:30. Oh, it's an hour later than England. Oh,
So how do you like Belgrade?
I love it. No, really, I mean, for me, this is what I do. And I mean, for me, it really is a great pleasure to come and meet all of you and to see all these intelligent, sincere people that care about Krishna and Prabhupada. And yeah, it's a great pleasure. And because all of you really are the hope of your country. That's what Prabhupada inspired us. When I was a Grihastha, I was actually married. And I had a great wife. I know that Krishna gave me she really was a great wife. And I know that Krishna gave me a great wife so that I would never think that I wasn't happy because I didn't have a good wife. Because I had a great wife. It was just the wrong, the best ashram is just whatever works for you, and I was just sort of born to do this. And so, but when I was a householder, I was president of ISKCON Houston. And so I went with my wife to the University of Houston, which has, as you'd be all very happy to hear, is a very good basketball team. Anyway, I went to the University of Houston, and I remember we got a letter from Prabhupada. Just at the time I was going there with my wife to preach. Prabhupada, I forget the exact words, but he inspired in us the idea that if you live in a particular city, or you are responsible for those people because you have knowledge. And the knowledge is that for example, all the people in Belgrade or Croatia, or obviously one's a city, one's a country. Anyway, all the people in these different places, for example, let's say that your neighbor is sick, and you have the medicine. You have a moral obligation to help your neighbor. So if we have knowledge, we are obligated. We have a duty to help other people. And if we don't do that, Krishna will take away our knowledge. You may remember that, oh yeah, I'm a devotee, Krishna's God. But that's not what Lord Chaitanya means when he says Vidyavadu Jivana, the Shikshastika. When your knowledge comes alive, when you actually see the truth. In the Bhagavad Gita, I should say a few words. Hi, I'm H.D.Goswami. I wrote this book.
That's good.
So, try that again. Hi. Anyway, so I had to study to do this book. And I learned a lot about the Gita because there are certain verses that everybody quotes. And Prabhupada said that if we read these books, there'll always be new realizations. And so I learned so much. There were things that, amazing things in the Gita. So I tried to systematically present everything, especially to do it in a way, because Prabhupada told me to do this. Prabhupada told me to read his books and then present it in my own words. And so it's written so that you can give this to your dentist, you can give this to your neighbors, you can give it to, I don't know, lady who fixes your clock or something. How did I know that? This lady who fixes your clock. Anyway, so, anyway, that's what it is, so we brought some. But, now I forgot what I was going to say. Yes. Oh, I know. So in the Gita, one thing I learned in preparing this book is that Krishna so often talks about knowledge as seeing something. It's not, passing a Bhakti Shastra test. I mean, that's also good. But it's seeing. You see the truth. It's not just knowing that you're a spirit soul. It's seeing yourself. It's seeing Krishna everywhere. And so the more we give, if you are giving knowledge to others, then Krishna will say you need knowledge because you're giving it up. It's like Prabhupada, I remember once in Vrindavan, we were sitting at Prabhupada's feet, I think it was on Janmashtami Day. And Prabhupada spoke very strongly that don't worry about money, just go out and preach. He said any rich person pays for advertising. So if you advertise Krishna, Krishna will pay for it. Unfortunately, many places in the world, Prabhupada said, just preach, money will come. And it's like light goes through a prism and it comes out upside down. So preach and money will come. Get money and preaching will come. Anyway, so it's like, I mean, let's say, for example, well, here's an example. Let's say Krishna wants to give people books. So the more books you distribute, the more books the temple gives you. And so the idea is the more you give out knowledge, the more you want to tell people about Krishna, Krishna will give you more and more knowledge because you want to distribute it. And if we don't distribute it, Krishna will say, well, you don't need a lot of knowledge because you're not giving it to anyone. So, if you want to get realization, if you want to see the truth, tell other people. Anything else? So maybe we'll stop here. Thank you very much, Ananda. Could you, of course, this is my very dear Ananda Sri, and she invited me here and promised me my own bathroom. So we also have a program tomorrow, but she's very dear to me. So Ananda, you can talk to her.
Hvala vam svima što ste došli i da ste primili sa pažnjom proveli vrijeme sa Maharadžom koji je jako ceni interesi, posebno inteligentne kulturne diskusije i tako dalje. Htjela sam da napravim ovu jednu malu reklamu za Bhagavad Gitu. Ona je na engleskom, nažalost još uvijek nije prevedena, ali ako ima dovoljno interesa možemo da prevedemo. Imamo nekoliko kopija, koštaju 10 € svaka, tako da danas i sutra možete da uzmete ovu kopiju da posle neko ima neka specifična pitanja, možete doći između 11 i 13, 11 i 13 časova, a navečer sada je Bhakti Hub program za više za ljude koji su...
Da, svi su dobrodošli, ali predavanje će biti da
malo drugačije. Ovako, ove diskusije su bile više onako porodične.